Howdy. Welcome to my shop. My name's Ron and I'll be your host for the next 10 minutes or so. Being a fourth generation carpenter, wood is that's my language. It's my living, it's my hobby, it's my passion. One of those passions is making stocks. I've never had any formal training in this. I just wanted to put a piece of wood on a gun one day, and I seemed like that'd be a pretty unique challenge, so I tried it. And been going at it ever since, but honestly, I owe a lot of my success to my customers, my friends that have suggested this or that, different ways of doing it to produce a better outcome. And so I appreciate them. I owe them a great deal. The finish that I use was suggested by a friend of mine that owns a gun shop in Georgia, a guy named Dan. I've been friends with him for many years, and I owe him for that knowledge. So I don't suggest that my way is the only way. That's just not the case. I picked up my abilities to do this from watching other people and seeing other things and then figuring out how to do that. So it's a process. Some ways are better, cleaner, faster. They require less effort. On and on it goes. And I'm open to learning new and better ways. I'm always looking for that. My grandfather used to say, never let a day go by that you don't learn something. So when I do, I'll often look up, thanks, Pop, because no matter how old you get, you still need to be learning new things. So come on in, see what's going on today. To let it fit well. There's something still holding me. Right, that safety won't come back all the way. It needs to be milled further back. It'll go forward enough, but it won't come back all the way. And I'm just about a 1/16 from being bottomed out down here. When this rear tang touches the surface of the wood, I'm at the right height. And when this barrel, half of the barrel is exposed, I'm at the right height. If I'm right there and right there, the rest of it's right. That's starting to fit pretty nice. It's getting there. I'm going to put a little more pressure on it, give it another tap or two, and see where it's heading. You can start to see where it's touching. See the black marks? It's touching pretty hard right there on both sides of the bolt. Up in here at the front of the receiver, the barrel is hitting really hard right there. I've got my action and barrel pretty well bedded. I don't have it glassed, and I'm not absolutely perfect, but I think I'm really close. But before I go any deeper, I'm going to do the next step, which is inletting the bottom metal, the trigger guard, this part here. Now that comes in from the bottom and down from the top, and it joins together in the middle, but it needs to be a certain size. And so what I'm going to do is find myself some places to measure to. Now I've got my trigger guard and I've actually got the clip in just to make sure it lines up well. I'm going to go ahead and get it out just to unclutter things. The clip mounts to this clip holder, for lack of a better word, and it mounts to itself, so I don't have to have anything lined up that the trigger guard has to be a certain depth from here. Sometimes you'll end up with like Tikka's. A Tikka has to have the trigger guard a certain distance from the receiver so that when the clip snaps in, it's a positive fit. And you can adjust that. I had one that was really loose with the factory, and I tightened it up. I made the receiver, I raised it up about 35 thousandths, and it made it a nice snap. And when that thing snaps in, there's no wiggle, there's no rattle. I don't like clips that rattle. Anyway, I've put the rear screw and the front screw in, and I've got them adjusted to where they're catching about half their threads. Then I'm going to pull some pressure down on this trigger guard to spread this apart and put tension on it as if there was a piece of wood in there. And then I'm going to measure from the tip of this screw to somewhere up here. And in this case, I'm going to measure to the top of the scope mount because it's straight up above it and it's a good solid thing to measure to. On the rear screw, I'm going to measure to the back of this tang. There's a flat spot in there, and I can measure straight down from there to there. And so that'll give me a distance. And then that'll tell me how tall my stock is, because I've made this stock right now is oversized. And I've got to narrow it down before I start trying to inlet this trigger guard, or it's just going to be a mess. I'm going to have way too much inletting to do. The more I can take off with a bandsaw quickly, the better off I am. So I'm going to bring this caliper down to about right. There. 1.467. Now I can just make me a crude diagram of my barrel, my receiver, my scope mount, the stock, and this rear screw comes down to the tang, and that screw comes from there 1.467 inches to right there. Now the front screw, and that is 4.115. 4.115. All these are reference measurements for me. So this screw here comes in from there to the top of that scope mount is 4.115. You see how that can help you later on? Now this having to line up your trigger guard, your bottom metal, all that stuff, it's not as critical on a factory rifle where everything was already invented and designed at a factory somewhere and you got all the pieces. If you're building a custom rifle and you've got umpteen bottom metal options to choose from, and you're using a Mauser action or a 700 action, and you want to change the bottom, change the trigger guard, turn it from a clip feed into a single shot, so you eliminate part of your bottom metal. You just have a trigger guard. All these things, you have to line them up a lot more carefully than something that's a factory piece that you know it worked, you know it lined up and it fit together before you started with it. So I'm going to do some measuring now on my stock. I'm going to set this action back in the stock and take those measurements that I just got done making and make sure that my wood, that I don't have, you know, way too much wood here. Because if you do and you start trying to inlet stuff and you got a bunch of excess wood, then you're going in, you're doing a lot of tedious work that is really unnecessary. Actually, this second one is really, really close. I thought I was a little fat on that wood, but I may not be. 1.467 on the rear screw. Is about right there, and that goes from that hole. This is going to be tough to get it in there. Nearly impossible. Yeah, I need to take off. I'm just having to eyeball it. I can't get this inside that hole and get past that. Maybe I can later, but right now I'm just having to give it a good eyeball and look at it. I think I need to take off about a 1/16 right in here. About a 1/16. I'm going to just real quickly just bandsaw this line off of here. Alright, when I took some off of that, I lost my center mark. I've got to replace my center line. I'm going to slip the action back in there. And make sure that this trigger is sitting right on that center line. That it's, because it can rotate a little bit in there like that. When I get the mounting screws in there, it won't. But in the meantime, it can kind of slip and slide a little bit. All right, one thing that I need to do is establish where this front mounting hole is. Well, thanks for choosing to spend your time here with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this program. I'll try to post a new segment each weekend. In addition, if you'd like to read about a stock that I made and then it took a 20-foot free fall, click on the link at the bottom of this page. It's called The Broken Gun. It's a story I wrote a few years ago about my two boys. Sometimes life's hard and things get broken. Now and then we get a chance to fix them. I'm so grateful for the opportunity I had to repair this broken stock. It led to a restoration that I never could have imagined. As always, if you like this video, please click the like button and share this with your friends. Have a great day.